right on today, boy.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Sheila Corona. Welcome to the channel. I believe we're live on Sassy Seer Sheila today. And we will, if you're seeing this on New Light Streaming Love, then it's not live. Okay. I'm accompanying Lisa today. So yeah, there we go. Wait. Trying to pull it up. There we go. Okay. So I did not do a live yesterday at all. I had have been having quite a bit of pain. I know that there's a lot going on the planet as far as, like energy from the sun interacting with the planet. I keep seeing things about portals opening up, and everybody seems to be talking about new energy beginnings of things. I I laid down for a meditation day before yesterday and surrender the idea you can fix someone. Yeah, I'm only trying to fix me, so this must be for someone who is either here now or who will be here and listening to this in the future, as I know this to be a true fact. It's time for a relationship to shift. Doesn't work to try to fix someone. Each person must be accountable for his or her own healing. I'm very well aware of this. Here's the really wild thing, like I was getting ready to share. During that meditation, I keep seeing this, or I'm being reminded of this. I think it was something on Instagram that Lisa shared with me a couple of days ago. A gentleman, I don't have any idea who he was, having an experience in his house by himself, just him and his dog. And his body stiffened up, and all at once he wasn't in his house anymore. He was somewhere else. And there were a whole bunch of people in the room. He said sort of like a board meeting or a council meeting or something like that. And he said that they were saying something about how quickly they are waking up. And then somebody noticed him there and said something to him. And then his body relaxed and he was back in his body in his house. And then he looked at his dog, and his dog was looking at him kind of weird, like, I guess, feeling something was going on. At any rate, my point here is day before yesterday, I had an experience during meditation that I can't account for in any way, shape, or form. I don't know that this is what happened to me because, it was one of those kind of deals where you've kind of drifted into what could have been sleep. So it may have been a dream, but it was a bit odd. The dream itself was a bit odd. And I really can't remember anything about it except for the experience that seemed to be it was a bit disturbing. Like I said, it affected me in a really huge way. And I don't know any other way to explain that. There was another being there. It seemed like they were larger than me, which is a pretty tall order even in and on itself. I don't know what to I really do not know how to explain that. But then I learned from Krystle that she had a dream very similar, a dream or an experience very similar to what I was describing. And we're hoping to be able to have a conversation about that. And I'm just wondering, is there anybody else feeling this kind of thing? Are you having some things like that happen? What are you noticing right now? Because there's, like I said, I know there's a lot of weird energy. I know it could be, timelines changing again. We have all these, I don't know where, it's like I keep being sent either from viewers or family members, meaning Lisa's dad or Lisa, these some of these folks that are having interactions with AI and they're asking questions, and the AI seems to be very focused on the ascension or the esoteric. And so I'm also very interested in that as well. Anybody else having experiences with that sort of thing? Reach out. Let me hear from you. If you don't want to have a conscious conversation about it, comment and give me a couple comments. Let's get something. I want to hear from others who are experiencing these sorts of things. And I'd like to know what else is going on here. So, okay. If everything is happening everywhere all at once, right? Because I've always had this feeling when we talk about past lives and things like that, that they're actually not past, that they run concurrent, meaning that it's, that there was a movie one time, Everything Everywhere All at Once, right? Never crowd on the leading edge. Never a crowd on the leading edge. Honor those who honor you. Okay. So if it is concurrent, and that would explain our multidimensionality, what is your experience with that? What is your thoughts about that? What do you think about that? Is it something that you've never really thought about before? Because for me, it would go a long way to explain some of what I've experienced and what others have experienced. And does that mean that we're finally ready to tell ourselves or show ourselves what actually is taking place? Oh, why don't we just throw some cards over here? The bride offers herself. Well, that's interesting. Card number 43. Okay, so we got quite the reading here. Who wants to go forth? I think the journeyman, since he's going forth. So I was talking about new. How everybody's talking about the new, right? This is card number 15. That's a 6 numerologically, which is all about balance, love, and harmony. The key words for the journeyman are adventure, independence, polishing of skills, and travel. Well, if you're traveling, hopping from one timeline to another, or one incidence or occurrence of you, wow, okay. That would be all of those, wouldn't it? All of the great ones, the saints, the bodhisattvas, and all of those who are filled by the spiritual light have been on this journey. They went into the wilderness, stepping like fools off of the safe paths into the waiting hands of their gods and goddesses. This is the journey of life, a pilgrimage that begins in ignorant trust, passes through all of the doubts, fears, ups and downs, probably all of the delusions, and certainly all of the confusions. Through it, we learn slowly, painfully, a new kind of trust, a trust in the process, detached from the goal. Wow, in terms of what I was just sharing there about the new, about coming to be shown different things. Highly interesting. Our young Ojanus journeyman, bless him, is stepping out on the journey of life, positively glowing with enthusiasm. Even his toes sparkle. Bright, handsome, and educated, he has completed his apprenticeship in fairy crafts and magics, but he has not yet achieved true mastery of his trade. To accomplish this, he must leave the protection of his master and step out onto his path as an independent journeyman craftsman. He is testing himself and his knowledge in the world. He hopes to eventually achieve the status of the master maker. Right now, he knows a lot of facts, has all the basic skills, but probably knows less than he thinks he does. He is about to learn about the skills of survival, bartering, persuading, selling, buying wisely, enjoying life, making friends. At least he doesn't need to learn how to iron his own shirts. Ojanus still has lovely, playful, childlike qualities. An Oracle online group member notes that Ojanus is playing balance the ball on a stick with the moon, and adds that he seems to have no constraints, sets no boundaries on what he can do. And because he is magical and doesn't set such limitations on himself, he is able to walk on air or water or through the hills, all with the moon nicely balanced, both on his stick and in the sky. Our young Ojanus must learn to care for himself. No one is looking over his shoulder to see that he does his work right and eats properly. Ojanus may take chances and even make mistakes sometimes, as we all do, but this is how we learn. He is now confronting and being confronted by the real world. Here, he will discover that excuses don't buy bread, and that the quality and integrity of one's work and actions are what counts. But he has been well taught and pretty well knows this already. Don't tell him I told you, but Ojanus sometimes wears a false mustache, hoping that it makes him look more mature. He has romantic dreams of being a great hero, of becoming the supreme master of his craft, and of winning a fairy princess. Some of these dreams will come true, perhaps even all of them. Here we see an innocent being walking trustfully into a situation for which he is not fully prepared and indeed cannot be fully prepared, or for which his preparation is as yet untested by reality. He is innocent of previous practical experience of the path he is now treading or the realm of life into which he is moving. This card could be called Innocence Encounters Reality, which is by no means a bad thing. His fairy godmother is lurking somewhere, just out of his sight, as fairy godmothers tend to do. Her expression is both gleeful and worried. Her hair is already whiter than it was before he began. And she is keeping her wand fully charged at all times. Although this is his journey and he must undertake it himself, almost everyone needs and is given a little fairy godmothering from time to time. Good-natured innocence attracts fairy guardians. It attracts helpful beings on all places, on all planes, and in all worlds. It may also attract those who would abuse that innocence. But as long as our intentions are good, our guardians will offer good guidance. We are blessed and cared for if we allow ourselves to be. The world is before Ojanus with smiles and teeth. Ojanus has optimism, cheerfulness, magic skills, and a diligent fairy godmother. Ojanus grows within us when we step bravely into the unknown, developing our potentials with hope and optimism and an open heart. Well, that's kind of interesting given what I said before this card even came out, that there seems to be a lot of folks claiming that we're in a whole brand new place now yet and again, as far as the energetics are concerned. Adventure, independence, travel, a long path ahead, we hope. This card speaks to the need to perfect skills in working and living, but it acknowledges having a sound grounding in the basics. Optimistic, innocent, and willing to learn, Ojanus also shows us that intuition serves us well, but only if we pay attention to it. Sometimes we are operating from theory alone, and our knowledge, well, I think a lot of it is theory alone. We get new information all the time, but if we're really trying to prove something to ourselves one way or the other with bias thinking, right? This card does not necessarily refer exclusively to beginnings. It can also signify a progression along a path, moving into the unknown from the known, a new phase in an ongoing process. Card may also represent untested concepts or ideas and suggest a need for balance between the intuitive and the rational as one approaches the unknown. Consider where you are going. What are your long-term goals? What are you doing that is helping you to move toward them? All good questions, especially given what I experienced. I think this one wants to come next from the Hero's Journey Dream Oracle. Card number 29, which is a and 11 numerologically. Never a crowd on the leading edge. Honor those who honor you. Don't you hear it? She asked, and I shook my head no. And then she started to dance, and suddenly there was music everywhere, and it went on for a very long time. And when I finally found words, all I could say was thank you. It's a quote from somebody named Brian Andreas. The message: from time to time along your hero's journey, you will serendipitously encounter fellow travelers with whom there are sparks of resonance. It is always a thrill to discover you are exploring similar areas of fascination and thus uncovering similar revelations within the same parenthesis of time. In these moments, allow yourself to be heartened and validated, reassured, and invigorated. You don't need throngs of people standing shoulder to shoulder with you or cheering you on to be infused with strength and inspiration. There is never a crowd on the leading edge. So if you meet only one kindred soul on your path, consider yourself lucky. Nurture your support. I think that's a specific message to me because, so far it's been very few and far between as far as folks who are willing to interact in this manner, especially in person. There doesn't seem to be. I'm very fortunate that Lisa and her family moved here because there doesn't seem to be a lot of folks here locally that are present enough to want to engage in higher consciousness conversations on any sort of level. Shoot, it's tough trying to get any of y'all to interact, to be honest. There is, so let's see, where did I leave off? Gratefully see your own, wait a minute, nope, nurture your supportive relationships and feel the blessing of these like-minded souls for their belief in you and for the mutual blessing you bring to each other. Gratefully see your own courage, wisdom, and adventurous spirit reflected in them, which I absolutely do. There is a dream symbol here of a friend. Dreams of a friend signify harmony, fidelity, emotional safety, and that you are living in resonance with your soul. When a particular friend appears, the dream is more about processing your relationship with them. A friend that you know or someone being friendly to you in a dream symbolizes supportive and balanced aspects of yourself. Now, that's kind of interesting given what I was just sharing about my meditation and the dream and how it was a bit on the disturbing side. Identify the three qualities this person most represents to you and recognize that you are connecting with these aspects of yourself. There's a mantra here. My fellow travelers infuse me with rocket fuel so that I can go further than I would on my own or could on my own. Well, not only that, but these guys look like they're friends too, right? That stepping out sort of thing. Very interesting. Okay, so the next card that wants to be heard this morning is The Bride Offers Herself. Card number 43 from the Journey of Love deck. And it opened right to that page. That's very interesting. There is a sacred offering taking place. an offering of the divine feminine. That was a female that approached me in that dream, that meditative dream state. She is offering herself to the mystery unfolding. This may manifest in a physical way in that a woman of great feminine wisdom is offering herself to you in friendship, love, spiritual companionship, or service in some way. This may manifest in a spiritual gift from the Divine Mother in the form of a life circumstance or situation, whether it is immediately recognized as a gift or not. Well, because I was feeling that that was a bit on the disturbing side, what was happening in the dream. So not quite sure what that's about. To accept this offering as a bridegroom, accepting his bride with love, reverence, and respect will bring good fortune. This oracle offers you a message. Accept what is being offered now, whether through challenge or an easing of the way forward. There is a gift of grace from the divine feminine reaching for you now. Allow her in and be blessed. This oracle also heralds a time of importance in relationship. You have been revealing yourself and not being afraid of who and what you are, sharing yourself in willingness to connect. Your vulnerability and beauty is acknowledged and will attract the response you need at the perfect time and in the perfect way. Every bride shall have her bridegroom. How careful we must be close. How careful we must be close. How fragile we must feel. How sad not to be when someone is real. To say approach with caution when we already know that inside there's a likeness and experience goes slow. Okay, that is very interesting. It's card number 43. That's a 7, which is for me a divine number generally. Okay. Now the divine animal oracle wants to go next. Card number 35, which is an 8 numerologically. So that's interesting too. Bison. And the key word to bison here is ritual. Another feminine looking card, even though one wouldn't even think about bison as being feminine. Okay. Live with authenticity and peace. Do not live how other people wish you to live. No, I can't. I won't. Your life is yours. Bringing the peace of ritual into our lives can heal us. Nourish yourself and develop habits that are beneficial and useful for you and your family. The mythos. The chief of the Lakota tribe was trying to lead his people through a time of great famine. The buffalo had deserted them, and no rain had fallen. He decided to send out 2 strong scouts to look for food. As they traveled through difficult country, they found little, but they kept going. As they walked, they saw a lovely woman dressed in shining white upon the horizon. One of the scouts immediately lusted after the woman and shared with his companion that if she was as beautiful close up as she looked from afar, he would seize her as his wife. The other scout saw beyond any desire and thought the woman looked otherworldly and perhaps was a sacred being. He shared his opinion with his friend and warned him against offending the young woman. It was soon clear that the first scout would take nothing of the second scout's advice. The first scout tried to hug and kiss the woman, and quickly a thick white fog enfolded the two of them. Soon the cloud dispersed, and only the woman remained. The second scout became terrified and drew his bow in defense. However, the young woman soothed him in his own language and told him there was nothing to fear. As she allowed him to step closer, he saw the dry bones of his more impertinent companion. Again, the scout became afraid and drew his bow, and again the woman calmed him and explained that she was divine, Wakan, and that she would not be harmed by his bow. She introduced herself as Tisan Wee, white buffalo calf, and assured him that if the Lakota did all that she asked, they would have a better, more prosperous, and more peaceful life. White buffalo calf taught the Lakotas the right way to live and worship. She was also responsible for introducing the sacred pipe, the Shanupa, and the profound ritual that accompanied it. The animal. There are two kinds of bison, also known as buffalo, left on Earth: the American bison and the European bison, which is Bison bonasus. They are all herd animals. The American bison is native to North America, with a huge range that once extended right across America and into Mexico. They were a plentiful and key animal for the indigenous peoples, gifting them fur, pelt, horn, bones, and meat. These indigenous societies, particularly the Great Plains First Nations, moved seasonally according to where the bison would roam, so meat would be readily available even in extreme conditions. Bison were hunted close to extinction during the 19th and 20th centuries by white settlers. This massive slaughter was most often for pelts, since the bodies were simply left on the plains to rot rather than being used honorably. There is also solid evidence that indicates there was a colonial strategy to kill as many bison as possible to inflict ongoing damage to the Indian people who relied so heavily on these animals. Happily, the bison is making a comeback both in Europe and in the United States, and herds are protected in places such as Yellowstone National Park, consumption for the sake of consumption's sake. I mean, what the hell? Bison are very stoic animals, able to withstand extreme cold and heat. They have thick fur and huge heads, which they swing from side to side to clear snow so they can get at the grass underneath. American bison range from about 2 I guess that's meters, 2 meters to 3.5 meters in height. Although they look slow and ungainly, they are not. And they are capable of running at 65 kilometers an hour and jumping 1 meter. Their babies are born with a distinctive red hue in spring and are referred to as red dogs. The magic. The magic of the bison is an ancient one that asks us to put aside the everyday and connect with the natural world and that of the spirits. Having everyday rituals is an important touchstone for mental and spiritual health. Keeping to good and positive ritual and habits for ourselves is something with which the bison can help us. Symbology: horns, milk, humped back, woman dressed in white buffalo skins. The status: near threatened and vulnerable. That's very interesting. Because I'm feeling, the ancestors in this one, right? I mean, which tomorrow I won't be doing any readings tomorrow, Saturday or Sunday. I might do one late Sunday, but I will be holding space for a friend who is taking part in an ancestral ecstatic dance. And so I'll be in a meditative state for that entire time. Okay, so the last card, and that's because of this alchemy elementals, because it was just too much last Wednesday. And if you want to know about that, it's in the reading I did after, which probably a week ago today. So water, waterfall, earth is on page 54. So that's a 9 numerologically. This is card 40. So it's a foundation as well, foundational card. So water, waterfall, earth. There is time for solitude, just as there is a time to commune with others. Your tribe is calling you to join in their revelry. Now that's kind of interesting, given this card, and also given what I just said to you about because I was asked to do that, and I knew immediately that I was to do that, because it has to do with my being holding the space for my friend, but also joining into this sort of ritual, if you will, that has to do with my own ancestors, her ancestors, the ancestors. I don't know how to explain that, but that's very interesting to me. Now is the time for you to ground into the collective spirit that nourishes the individual spirit. Your soul is longing to be fed by the company of others. Well, yes, I keep asking folks to contact me for conscious conversation. That's so funny. And to sink deeply into the unfolding of love's true bounty. You see, there are many kinds of love. There is love of self and love of spirit, just as there is love of nature and love of beauty. But there is nothing quite like the love that is shared between friends and family. When we spend time with those we cherish, we amplify each other's beings in profound ways. It's not just about you, my love. Your tribe is just as well served by your time with them as you are by theirs. Well, that's quite interesting. Like I said, given what I'll be taking part in starting tomorrow. Wow. Well, I hope this reading was helpful for you. I found it quite interesting given everything that I have been experiencing of late. Wow. I hope that you will continue to move towards that which brings you joy in each moment that presents itself to you. It really is just a matter of perspective and your perception on that perspective. And if you can't find joy in that moment, maybe allow yourself just a few moments to step back and see if you can look at what you're looking at from a different angle. Until we meet again, my friends, be well.